The last time I was in Texas, I had one of the best macaroni cheeses I've ever had in my life. It was down in San Antonio at 2M Smokehouse, and the macaroni cheese itself was very, very, very good. But the thing that really made it was that it was topped with chicharrones, and it was just absolutely ridiculous. And if you don't know what chicharrones are, or chicharrones, I don't actually know how to pronounce it. It's basically pork skin and fat, deep fried and salted, and it is crunchy, salty, fatty, and it was sprinkled all over the top of the mac and cheese. And yeah, it was ridiculous. And for us here in the UK, chicharrones may sound pretty exotic, but we pretty much have chicharrones here in the way of pork scratchings. So this is just pork skin and pork fat, deep fried and salted. This isn't the best brand, but we could get the job done with these. So today I'm gonna make up a chicharroni or pork scratching mac and cheese, and it's gonna be delicious. So to get things started, we've got some pork scratchings or chicharrones in a bowl here. And this particular brand of pork scratchings I find is not nearly salted enough. And when you're talking about fried pig skin, these should be absolutely delicious, but there is way too much fat in this and way too little seasoning for it to be pleasant. At least for me, it just tastes like you're eating pure fat. So it needs some salt to cut through that fat. So we're gonna add a little bit of extra salt. And then if this wasn't on YouTube, I would put this into a little blender, but sometimes people are put off by not having the right kitchen equipment. So I'm just gonna put this into a Ziploc bag, and I'm gonna go through and just give it a light bash down, turn it into some crumbs. That's looking pretty good. And basically this is gonna replace the traditional breadcrumb that I'm sure many of us have added to the top of mac and cheese in the past. But rather than breadcrumbs, it's fat and skin and salt. I want some small bits in there, I want some chunky bits in there. That's looking good. And this next move is nothing to do with 2M Smokehouse, but this is something that I like to do with my mac and cheese. And you may have done this yourself or seen many people do it online. And that is to add some crumbled up cheese puffs to the top. Give some really nice color, a little bit of extra saltiness, a little bit of extra artificial cheesiness. A lot of people in the US are going to be using Cheetos, but here in the UK, if I'm doing this on bulk for catering or a pop-up, I'm going to be using Wotsits. So I'm just going to add some more texture and a little bit of color, and obviously way more color if these were actually Cheetos. So the next thing we need to do is weigh up our cheese. I like to cut the amount that I need, weigh it up and then shred it. And we're only going to be making a small batch today, but I'll put a recipe below where you can scale it up as much or as little as you want. So 12 grams of Parmesan, 30 grams of cheddar, I guess sharp cheddar if you're in the US, 30 grams of Gouda, and then 25 grams of American. And I know people love to hate on this stuff, but it's gonna bring a nice color, nice gooiness, nice cheesiness. But most importantly, it is almost definitely gonna contain emulsifying salts, which is gonna help keep this sauce together, stop it from splitting. You don't have to use it, but for me personally, it's essential. So next up, we need to weigh up our pasta. I like these spirali pasta. You can use any pasta that you want. And we're gonna go in for 112 grams. And there'll be a recipe for double this amount in the description. And then time to get onto our liquid components. Again, weighing all this out. We're gonna go in with 260 grams of water, 112 grams of evaporated milk. Don't get this confused with sweetened condensed milk. And this is gonna add a nice silkiness, a nice creaminess, 112 grams. A good splash of your favorite hot sauce. I'm using Crystal. Some cayenne pepper, touch of garlic powder, not too much. Some black pepper, more for visuals. A good pinch of salt. And then we're gonna move this over to the stove. We're gonna go in with our pasta, give that a little mix round, and we're gonna bring this up to a boil. While that's happening, I'll get my cheese grated up. And don't forget to let this boil over whilst you're grating your cheese and get all over your worktop. Once it has come up to a boil, you can just turn this down to a slow boil, and all we're looking to do is cook this pasta through. So this pasta is done, took about 10 minutes if that, and there's still quite a bit of water in there. I did have to top it up with a little bit of extra water, but that may have been because it spilled over, may have just been because it was absorbing a little bit more due to how high I had the heat. But we don't want it to be completely submerged in water. We want to have some of the pasta sticking out from the top, but a nice amount of liquid in there. We're going to go in with about 25 grams of butter, give that a little mix round, and then we're going to go in with our cheeses. So we've got our American cheese and our grated cheeses from earlier, the cheddar, the Parmesan, the Gouda. Whilst this is on its very lowest heat, we're going to go in and start giving this a good mix round. And this is going to thicken up nicely, but we don't want it to be too thick. We want this to be looser than it would be when we plan to eat it. That pasta is going to keep absorbing water, and I'm sure all of us have experienced mac and cheese that's kind of dry and stiff. Absolutely taste this and adjust the seasoning. Oh yeah, that is very good. Could do with a touch more salt, just a little bit. And once this is at the consistency you want, it's ready to plate up. So I'm going to plate this up just like I would if I was at a pop-up. So we're going to go in with our super creamy, super cheesy macaroni cheese. You can probably see that it's already starting to thicken up nicely. It was kind of loose when it was on the pan still, but it's thickened up a nice amount. And then we're gonna go on with a little dusting of the What's-Its or Cheetos or whatever it is that you wanna use, or you don't have to use these at all. And the whole reason I wanted to make this video, the chicharrones or the pork scratchings. Oh my God. Does that not look like the best macaroni cheese you've ever seen? Whew. That looks insane, it smells insane. I can smell the fried pork skin. But yeah, obviously I just made one batch of this. So in the description below will be a full-size batch, which will be double this. And this will do, I mean, this is gonna do a couple of people. I mean, I'm definitely not gonna eat this on my own. Let's go in, get some of that pork scratching, the What's-It. Oh my God. That might be up there with the 2M mac and cheese. I mean, this is a real simple, cheap, easy weeknight mac and cheese. And I'm sure they put a lot more love and care into it, but this is good. This is very, very good. The addition of the pork scratchings on top is just ridiculous. It adds even more saltiness, which I think it probably didn't even need, but it adds some nice crunch, adds some nice pork flavor, some extra fattiness flavor. And yeah, tell you what, the What's-It crumb is underrated or underused. I don't know if anyone else has ever actually done it. Absolutely unreal. The only thing I will say is the pork scratchings tend to soften up a lot quicker than I thought they would. And it might be just because of the brand that I've got. The Mr. Porky's one isn't very good, isn't the best one. There are definitely some craft ones that are probably better, or you could just make your own. The next time I do a pop-up, I'm definitely doing this. So thanks very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. It really, really does help me out. And I'll see you next week for another video.